Well, hello, all of you. I see you. Rambling Court Jester, Deborah Rose. I am so glad to see you guys tonight. Thanks for coming and joining me, Amy Leigh, live from the grooming table. This is where we solve all the dog grooming problems and turn them into triumphs, right? No, we do a lot here together that is amazing work. You guys are doing amazing work, and together we just make a wonderful, awesome Go Groomer community full of people who help pets all over the world feel fantastic. So I want to thank you guys for being here. This is live from my grooming table. So I'm glad to have you sitting right here on my grooming. You're sitting on my grooming table. Now hold still. Okay. We have a great topic for you guys tonight. I try to plan things that I think could help you guys if you're struggling. I listen to the comments, I listen to your feedback, I read your emails, and I try to take all those things into my little notebook and say, this is an area of struggle. So what could we do to change that? And that's why we get together live from the grooming table. Tonight's topic is clipper blades. These guys, clipper blades versus guard combs. Are they the same? They're not the same. So clipper blades versus guard combs, how to determine which one to use. How do I know if I want to use a clipper blade to trim a dog or a guard comb over a 10 blade? How do I know? How do I make those determinations? What makes those determinations for me as a professional? And that's easy. So I get to share it with you guys. I get to share with you how I make those decisions. Clipper blades versus guard combs, what's the difference? What's the difference between clipper blades and guard combs? And I think most of you know what the difference is, but you still may question, well, should I just use a blade, like a 3 or a 4 blade? Or should I use a guard comb? How do I know? How do I know if I use a smaller guard comb, like this guy? He's just little. He's not very thick. He's pretty equivalent to a number 3 blade. Well, could you just say, oh, I'll choose to use either a guard comb? This is I think it's an 1/8 inch. I can't see. This is the smallest guard comb that they make. I think it leaves an 1/8 of an inch of trim, which is a little less than, say, this 3 blade. So how do you determine that? How do I determine that? That's what I'm going to help you guys with tonight. How do you know when to use which one? And for me, it is pretty simple. So we're going to break it all down for you tonight in this video so that you can choose the right blade or guard comb for the job and for the groom that you're about to perform, so you can move through the groom with confidence, control, and consistency. That's what's important. We want you to feel confident and in control when you're using clippers, shears, all the grooming tools, force dryers, de-shedding tools, what's safe, what's not. That's what we learn here. So tonight what we're going to cover, I have a few hits that I want to hit, and you know how I am. I'll just continue going deep on the topic. Once I hit my little bullet points, I'll probably go pretty deep to make sure you understand, but we're going to talk about how guard combs work and how they actually extend the length, the trimming length of a clipper blade. We're going to talk about when to use a blade alone, like a 3, when to use a 3, or versus when we would go for a guard comb. And you know, there's many sizes of guard combs. And I'll explain the sizes real quick so you guys get a little refresher there. So we're going to talk about when we would use a blade or a guard comb. And sometimes, often in any given pet trim, I will use blades for some of the work and guard combs for some of it, because we know that guard combs save us time with our scissor work. So I'll explain that to you guys too. We're going to talk about common mistakes and how to avoid them when you're using blades or guard combs, how to keep them in tip-top shape, you know, throughout your groom, so they're producing the best work so they can perform to the best of their ability. That's important. Now, we did talk a bit about that last time we got together 2 weeks ago, didn't we? I did link last week's live stream for you guys in the description below, along with some other helpful videos that you can watch later when you have time. when you're sitting around and you're relaxing with your pups and you're like, I'm gonna watch that video on clipper blades, because I do have a video down there just about clipper blades. I have a video down there about cleaning your blades, which is so, so important to maintain the sharpness of the blade as well as keep the blade performing optimally. That's important. So there is a video linked for you in the description of this video showing you how to clean those blades and keep them in tip-top shape. It's very important. We're also going to talk about what are typical blade and guard comb choices for the average pet trim and different coat types. I think that's important that we talk about that. That's a question a lot of you ask. What guard comb would I use for a Maltese? What guard comb would I use for a certain breed? Well, here's the thing. Unless you are doing a pattern set on, say, a Cocker Spaniel or a Schnauzer or a dog that gets a pattern set, you know what I'm saying? A specific breed standard pattern set. That's the only time we really have a predetermined blade length that we'd like to use. Other than that, guard combs that come in different lengths are here so that you can make the pet trim universal in one length to your liking, or obviously if you're a groomer, to your client's liking, because that's what's important, that they're happy, the pet's happy. We have to be doing the trim that's maintainable for the clients. So we know what our clients are capable of maintaining between grooming sessions, whether that's 6 weeks or 8 weeks between when they come to see me for grooming. If I'm having trouble because they like them longer and I'm finding a lot of matting that I'm have to deal with, and in other words, that the dog has to deal with, then I need to talk to the client and say, I know that you're having trouble keeping them brushed out at home, not that your efforts are going unnoticed, or, you know, that it could just be that, you know, it's too much coat for you to keep brushed out. As a professional, it's easy for me, but it's not always easy for our pet owners that are just maintaining one dog. Groomers are, you know, we can manage a coat lickety split because we do it all the time, every day. That's what we do. We're professionals, right? That's why we know what we're doing. We know how to handle it just by looking at it before we even touch it. So don't get discouraged, pet owners, if your groomer tries to talk you into somewhat of a smaller trim, you know, not really a shave down or anything. Shave downs happen when the coat is beyond repair, meaning we have to take it off and start over. So a lot of groomers, they do not prefer to do shave downs. They only do it if they have to. And I know a lot of pet owners don't understand why did they have to do it, which we do have videos on my channel about that, guys. So there's a really good video on my channel about, it was called Emergency Groom, I think it was, and it was a rescue dog that there was no saving the coat. And in that video, I go on to explain, as I'm working through this, why I have to do what I am doing right now, and I show you how difficult it is for both me, my clipper, and the dog. It's difficult to have to do a matted shave down. It really is. You got to get between the skin and the mat, and sometimes that's right to the skin. It's tough. So there's things we can do to loosen that up and get our clipper in there. But we're just talking about trims. Nice trims. You know, I want to leave a 3/8 inch length on my dog so they look a little bit fluffy like a stuffed animal, or maybe a 1/2 inch. But that means the dog needs to come every 5 to 6 weeks so that he's not matted, or we have a mom or dad at home that is really good at brush outs in between. Then we can leave that much coat. How do we leave that much coat? With guard combs. That's how we do it. And remember last week, or 2 weeks ago in our live stream, we talked about why you may be having trouble getting guard combs through your dog's coat. Or if you're a professional groomer or a beginner and you're like, the guard comb won't go through, but a 7-blade does. Why is that? So I'm going to explain that to you. And but the video 2 weeks ago, you should refresh on that if you didn't see it, guys. It's really good. It talks about why you're having trouble getting these guard combs through your dog's coat. And it's definitely there to solve your problems. So after we talk about our lesson today, I am definitely going to get to you guys after we learn and you get your chance to ask your questions in real time and get personalized advice from me, Amy Leigh, right here live. So if you do have a question, you can start typing them in the chat. Be sure to hold the dash key down. There's a little dash key. Hold it down, make about 5 dashes, and then type your question. That's going to make a line in front of your question so I can see it in the chat. Instead of just sitting here and reading through all the chat, I'll be able to pull those questions out easily because you have a line in front of it. And I want to answer your questions. And I'm sure on this topic, you're going to have questions. So that's good. That means we picked a good topic. This video that you're watching right now is perfect for groomers, students, DIY pet parents who are doing a pro job at home and maybe just want to get a little bit better results or need help making the right decisions when it comes to guard combs and blades. So we're going to get started and we're going to start talking blades and guard combs. I've already said so much. Look at you, Elsie's here. Hello, Elsie. I'm going to see you soon at Hershey. It's coming around the corner, which is in September. It's a trade show. Dottie's here. Cynthia, thank you guys for all joining. I am so happy to have you here with me. Let's start. The first thing we're going to break apart is how guard combs work to extend the length of the blade. What does that mean? Okay, so let me take it to this way. So I have a couple clippers here that we're going to be picking up and playing around with here today. I even have my favorite guy, but all of them are my favorites actually. These are all good clippers. I wanted to touch on the 5-in-1 clippers real quick because I know a lot of you have them, especially if you have smaller dogs with not super thick coats like your Yorkies and your Maltese come to mind. We're talking that silky light drop coat. They don't have a real dense coat. You are finding that you like to use these clippers on them with the guard comb attachments. And these do work wonderful for those situations. In fact, that's when I love to use my 5-in-1 clipper and guard comb attachments most, is on a delicate petite dog, because I can maneuver this clipper a lot easier. I can certainly do it all with my favorite guy. And for years as a groomer, I couldn't afford 5 different clippers. I had one. I had a detachable blade clipper. So I did it all with this. Not this. He wasn't out yet. The old version. The corded version. Electric. So, but I know a lot of you are using these. A lot of professionals love to use them, and there is nothing wrong with choosing this to give a Maltese, a Yorkie, or just a small poodle or something. I mean, you can do bigger breeds with them, but the guard combs are thinner. As you can see, this is a standard size, not even a wide. And this is the guard comb for your 5-in-1 clipper. So you can see that this is just a little bit more petite. It's more petite, so it will require more passes because you have more ground to cover. But they're light and the dogs find them comfortable, so I do want to mention here as we're going to talk on this specific little bullet point, which is how guard combs work to extend your blade length. We're going to be using the Joy Z Hornet, which is a 5-in-1 clipper, and we're talking about guard comb attachments. So with the Hornet does have a 7-blade, a 5-blade, a 4-blade, a 3-blade. I think those are the sizes. You can get them as options, just like this is a detachable blade, 7-blade. Won't work with this clipper because this clipper must have its Joy Z blade specifically. That's the only downfall with your 5-in-1 clippers, is when you're switching blades other than this standard blade, you have to use that clipper brand's blade typically. Some of them are becoming universal, but not enough to really say to you guys because I don't want to confuse you. However, the one thing that is pretty universal across all of these 5-in-1 are the guard comb attachments that are made for 5-in-1 clippers. This is a special one. You can see it is not the same. You see the hitch down here this is what we would put on a detachable blade. This does not attach this same. It slides on. This one, you attach this to the back of the clipper and you pull it forward and it snaps on. That's why they call them snap-on combs. So if you are using guard combs, you have to be sure that you're using guard combs for either a detachable blade clipper or a 5-in-1 clipper. So what we were talking about, back to the point again, was how your guard combs extend the length of your blade. Basically, that's what they do. So on this blade right now, if I have it set to a 10, which it is right there, that's a 10 blade. I would never trim the body of a dog's coat with a 10 blade. That's way too short. The shortest I go is a 7 blade. That's the shortest I would ever trim the body, the legs of a dog, a 7 blade. So what your guard combs do, as you know, when you put them on, you slide this all the way on so that you can see there, so that this comes all the way down to the blade. Now we've just extended the length of the cut from here to here. That's how much hair it's going to leave. And without that, what's it going to leave? Nothing. It's going to be down to the skin. So guard combs, that's what they do. That is their job, is to extend the length of a clipper blade. So your clipper blade is still there running. The attachment doesn't do the cutting. The clipper blade does. Without a clipper blade, there's no cutting. This is just to extend the length, sort of, so to speak, of your clipper blade. So now we were cutting with a 10. Oh, that's so short. We popped this guy on, and now we're getting, this is a 3/8 inch, if I'm correct. We're getting 3/8 inch of coat that we're leaving when we glide this through and along the dog's coat. That is the purpose of guard comb attachments, is to extend the length past what we can do with clipper blades. This is a number 3 blade. However, we can't use guard combs with a number 3 blade. Do you see how long the teeth are on the number 3 blade as compared to, this is a 7. Wait, oh gosh, this is backwards for me. Do you see how much longer the teeth are? That's how much coat it's going to leave. So the coat travels through those teeth until it gets to the clipping edge right here, and that's where it cuts it. So when you see long teeth like this, that's how long the clip is going to be. That's how long the hair is going to be. But our blades will only get us to a number 3 size. It's still a fairly short trim. It would be equivalent to, oh, this is the 3/8. No, it's not even that. I'd say more of a 1/4 of an inch. Yes, which is, I think this. Your number 3 blade is going to be about equivalent to the blue guard comb. So you're like, well then, so I could use either a 3 blade or a blue guard comb. Yes, you could. But how do you determine, well, would I rather use the guard comb or would I rather use the blade? That's the biggest problem people are having to make their decisions. They're struggling to understand why. So what I do is, instead of using a 3 blade on a Maltese, there's a couple reasons why I would rather go for the guard comb on basically a silky, wavy, drop-coated dog, or most drop-coated dogs. I would prefer the guard comb because the drop coat has some natural wave to it, and it can really leave some marks in your clipper work when you're using blades and guard combs. But I feel it's easier to blend down with a guard comb and to blend along and clip along with my guard comb and make it look more natural, versus when I have a blade. Blades are just so precise in their cutting that I would probably have so many chop marks on those silky drop coats, especially in Yorkies. So many chop marks because this blade is just going, just eating through it. And these guard combs, they just allow more of a blending effect when we're using them. So like, in other words, you can pull the hair up and raise out of it and just kind of keep blending with your guard combs. So on coats that are drop coats, a lot of drop coats, even sometimes Havanese can have kind of a curly, tighter coat, and then some of them have more of a drop wavy coat. So it's the drop wavy coats that I typically always want to go for my guard comb versus a blade. However, it doesn't just stop at the drop silky coats like your Maltese and your Havanese and your Yorkies. Let's say a Cocker Spaniel. A Cocker Spaniel has a very dense coat. They have an oily coat naturally too. So because their coat is so dense, I mean, each hair follicle shares so many hairs, a blade just looks better. When I use a blade, it may not always be a 7 blade. It could be a 5, a 4, or a 3. If I choose to use that on a Cocker Spaniel all over, just a nice little pet trim, that's fine. But I'm going to find oftentimes I get a lot of lines in the coat with those thick coats. Now, a Cocker Spaniel still has a drop coat. I only have a double coat too, so there's all those combinations. So the double coat, the drop coat, you may find oftentimes that your blade is just going to make a smoother finish just because it's such a dense, tight, but yet it's still a drop coat. Poodles, anything with a scissor coat like Bijans, Poodles, most Doodles, not all Doodles, you can use either a blade or a guard comb. You're going to get pretty darn good results. Seriously. It's because the coat is standing up so nice and firm. It's not waving. It's not relaxing. It's standing up nice and firm, which gives you the ability to get a very precise cut, even with a guard comb or a blade. So those coat types, I do tend to use guard combs most of the time because I feel like they're more comfortable to the pets. Not that blades hurt the dogs. I don't want you to think they do, because they don't. But a blade is just a heavier tool. It's just heavier. And it's just, these guys, the hair feeding through these stainless steel teeth, it just seems to glide right through the coat. Not that a blade won't, because it will. But I just like the feel of the guard combs, even on the poodles and stuff. I tend to only use blades to give a dog a haircut. If I'm setting a pattern, like we talked earlier, like a Schnauzer, I would always use a 7 blade. So if I'm setting the pattern set on a Schnauzer, if I'm setting the pattern set on a Spaniel, a lot of different Spaniels, I would choose the 7 blade, and I would choose the blade to do that. If I use the guard comb to set those patterns, I'm kind of just going to have a lot of little lines in it, and it's not going to look smooth like a saddle, because that's what it's supposed to look like their saddle. So I would always go for the blade. So pattern sets, definitely, that's when I use my blades for sure. The shortest blade I will ever use is a 7 blade on the body or the legs. Another time I always go for blades is matted dogs, or semi-matted. They don't have to be terribly matted, but they can be a little bit matted, and this guard comb is just going to have a horrible time getting through it, and it's just not worth it. You go for your blade. Your blade is going to plow through that a lot better. So those situations are for the most part, when I use blades for when we're talking about the body and the legs and the head and stuff like that. It's pattern sets and it's shave downs. Or, I mean, it gets darn hot around here too. A lot of people do, depending on the breed and the coat type, a lot of people do choose, clients to do a 7 or a 5 clip down in the summer and just keep the dog, you know, a little cooler, low maintenance, so they don't get, maybe it's because they swim a lot in the pool, you know, so they don't want their hair to become tangly and matted because they're in and out of the pool all the time. Or I have clients that they take their dogs boating, and the dogs literally jump in when they're at the little ocean, or not ocean, the sandbars, you know, where all the boats dock and you're still in the water. There's always dogs swimming around there. We have some rivers close to us around here, so it's pretty common to see dogs swimming around in the winter and going out on the boats with their peeps. But that's when a lot of people choose to do summer trims, is because, you know, they're going to have some matted issues. Their dog's in and out of the water and they just can't keep up with that. So that would be a blade for me, always a blade, a 5 or a 7. The 7 is as short as I would go, and it's a short trim, but it's safe enough that it leaves some length of coat. As you can see how long those teeth are, this is the cutting edge of the blade right here. So this is how much coat it's leaving above that. It leaves a little bit, but if you have a Maltese that doesn't have a real dense coat, it's gonna look even shorter than it would if it were a poodle, because the Maltese has such a thin coat that you will actually be able to see skin. And that's, you never really want to take a dog so short that you see skin, unless you have to, because of mats, because of sunburn, because the coat is what is protecting their skin, which is the largest organ in their body. So if we take it down so much on these dogs that don't have a thick, dense coat, we take it with a 7, you know, they could suffer from sunburn or definitely some skin problems, because nothing is protecting the skin from the outside elements, whether, you know, it's allergens in the air, on the ground, in the water, you name it. So leaving a little bit of coat is always important so it can protect the skin. So all in all, majority of the time, unless I'm doing a short trim, because the mom wants a short trim, dad wants a short trim, or we've got some mats, or we're doing a pattern set, I'm pretty much always using my guard combs. And they come in various lengths to help you determine. So if I'm doing the body sort of short, I may choose, you know, something like a 1/4 inch guard comb for the body. And then if I want a fuller leg, you know, maybe I'll go up to the 5/8 to do the legs. So I can still leave a shorter body and a fuller leg. And then I can also use this to set the length on the top of the head, under the chin, on the cheeks, what I used for the legs. So it just allows you to really cut a lot of time off of your grooming, to shave a lot of time off your grooming, which is appreciated by the dog too. They're like, oh good, that was quick, we're done, goody. But it also gives you such precision and setting that coat length, so there's very minimal scissor work to tidy up around the feet. You know, after you comb the dog all up, after you've used your guard combs, you'll find some strays, some stuff that just wasn't even, or perhaps the dog has those crooked legs. You're going to have to do some tidy and some camouflage grooming with your scissor work. But guard combs just really cut down on your scissor work and save time, and it sets a consistent length of coat. So when would we use blades over guard combs? If we're doing a clip down, because we're taking it short. If we're taking it short, a 7, a 5, we're going to use a blade. It's just going to make a nice smooth finish. This, as a short trim, these shorter guard combs, they leave a lot of lines in the coat and it looks really bad. When we go that short, they do. So that's why I like never, ever, ever use this red one. There's never one that I've ever used. It's never, because I will be using a blade instead. It just doesn't look good if it's that short. Also, if the dog's matted, we're using blades. And often if it's matting, you will only be able to use a 7 blade. Nothing else is going to, even a 4 blade is going to get stuck, and it's not going to move in the coat because it can't get between the skin and the mat because it has to feed through too much hair first. Because it's feeding through all of this hair first till it gets to the cutting edge of the blade, the hair's getting stopped because it's matted. It can't feed through those teeth. Just like guard combs. If your guard combs are getting stuck, you're not moving, the coat's not brushed out well enough. It's not prepared well enough. A guard comb can't magically plow through mats. It's got to go all the way through these teeth to reach this cutting edge of the blade. And let's say, let me see, oh, I have to show you this with my 5-in-1. Let's say we want to even nice, I want a longer trim. I want a 5/8. My 5/8 inch guard comb, this hair has to travel all the way through here to get to this, which is the cutting edge. And what it has to do is it has to go through the coat like a comb. If you can't get a comb through the coat, you're never going to get the guard comb through because all that hair has to glide through there first before it hits the cutting edge of the blade. So guard combs require very good coat prep. Every groom does. Don't let me confuse you. If you ever want everything to look nice and even, precise and smooth, it's always because of the coat prep. The coat prep has to be perfect. The dog has to be perfectly shampooed, conditioned, bathed, brushed and dried, and brushed and combed again before we do clipper work or guard comb work. It's just the prerequisite. We did talk a bit about that 2 weeks ago, so I do hope you guys watched that video. If you didn't, it's up there. You can go back and watch it. Shh, Clipper's getting rowdy over there. So guard combs, if I know I'm leaving length more than 1/4 of an inch, I'm going with guard combs. Guard combs all the way because the highest blade that actually does work is a 3 blade. And it's not leaving that much coat. Basically a little more than 1/4 inch, about 1/4 of an inch. So if I'm going to be doing any clipping higher than a 3 blade, this is where you may be getting confused. Clipper blades only go up to this size. There are a few weird ones out there, like 3.5, whatever, but that's it. That's as long as the clipper blade is. And at that point, if you want length longer than the 3 blade, longer than this of coat, you've got to go with the guard combs or hand scissor the dog. Because you can see the guard comb is going to leave a lot more length than this 3 blade. And the 3 blade is the longest blade length. This is as long as it gets. Then you have to go to guard combs. Whether that's because if you're using a 5-in-1 clipper, then you need guard combs for a 5-in-1 clipper. If you're using a detachable blade clipper, this is the Joyzy Falcon, then you need detachable blade guard combs made for detachable clippers. Okay, and the wide, we talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go over it too hard here. So this is a 10 blade. The wide guard combs have to go over a wide blade, and it can only be a 10, 15, or 30 for any guard comb, ever. A 10, a 15, see this is a 10 blade, a 10, a 15, or a 30 are the only blade sizes that you can put a guard comb, that you can attach a guard comb to. Because the longer blades have longer teeth. Like even, this is a 7 blade. So this wouldn't even fit over that because the teeth are too long. Only a 10, 15, or 30 blade. That's what you can use with guard combs. With your 5-in-1 clipper, you can use any of these settings because it's an adjustable blade clipper. These don't clip on, they slide on. So I still pretty much tend to use, if I was going to do guard comb work, I would probably use it on the 10, 15, or 30 setting. 30 maybe. The 10 is fine. So 10, 15, 30 blades, always and only under your guard combs. So let me just take a peek at my bullets and see how we're doing here. So I did cover when to use a blade alone without a guard comb versus a blade and a guard comb. And that basically is, if we want to leave some length, we got to use the guard combs, because the blades only go up to a number 3 length, which isn't that long. It's about 1/4 of an inch of coat. So a lot of times people want more coat length than that, so you have to use guard combs. And then some people will say, well, why wouldn't you just hand scissor it? Well, hand scissoring is fun and all. I will agree with that. But we're going to add a lot more time to the groom, and if I'm charging for it, if it's not my own dog that I'm hand scissoring, I got to charge for it, right? So you got to pay for it. Is there a reason to do a completely hand scissored dog? Absolutely not. What is safer? Hand scissoring with shears or using guard combs? Guard combs are safer, much safer. If you're doing 14,000 snips on a dog, do you think there's a chance, more chance that you could accidentally, dog moves, you know, have a little snippy snip somewhere you didn't want a snippy snip? The guard comb actually protects the skin. So guard combs are safer. And we're talking about pet trims, pet grooming, which means that's all about comfort. It's all about getting the experience over with nicely and as quick as possible for the dog, so they don't have to not enjoy grooming. You know, that's what pet grooming is all about, is maintaining the coat, trimming the hair to a length that's maintainable for the pet client in between grooms, and is something that the pet can wear comfortably. So in other words, if it's 4 inches of coat on a poodle, and he's like, and you're like, well, I take him for walks every day. I'm like, with 4 inches of coat, it's a little hot for that, you know. So, you know, the coat should match the dog's lifestyle. Yes, do we like to see dogs with 4 inches of coat? Yes. I'm a professional groomer. Would I be able to maintain my poodle with 4 inches of coat? Not unless I was going to forego every other thing in my life that I enjoy doing, because the only thing I'd be doing is brushing my dog all the time so he doesn't get matted. You just have to decide, does my dog love living his life and being free and having, you know, a shorter, more tailored haircut so he can run and play and be a little cooler in the months? Yes, he does enjoy that. Does he enjoy mom and dad not having to brush him every day? Maybe only twice a week? Yeah, he does enjoy that. I mean, at least twice a week. You should always brush your dog, because brushing helps stimulate the oils in the skin and coat, which actually protect your dog's skin. Your dog's oils that they release are natural oils. Sometimes you can see an oilier coat, but usually you don't see them, but they're there. It's what hydrates the coat. It's also like a natural sunblock for dogs. Did you know that their sebum, their natural oil, is a sunblock for them? So having some hair, having some coat, having some of those natural oils, not, you know, trying to strip it out all the time and bathing, always condition. That helps seal in the oils and keep it hydrated. But those natural oils do good for the dog. But there is such a thing of not bathing enough, and some people like to say, well, I don't want to remove those natural oils, so I bathe him only once a year. And I say to them, I hear what you're saying and I understand the logic, but now your dog has a lot of old nasty oils that have collected dirt and buildup from being a dog laying on the floor all the time. You don't think there's dirt on your floor? Even if you mop it every day, there's dirt on your floor. There is. Your dog's laying in that, and their tacky oils are going to absorb that. This is how dogs develop a lot of allergies, because they aren't being bathed. That's a problem. So it's a delicate dance. That's a whole different live stream, which we've probably already talked about that 4 or 5 times in live streams. But it's important to understand natural oils. When you're supposed to bathe and condition your dog, I tell everybody the rule of thumb is every 21 days. 21 days, that's weird. Just remember the number 21, because the reason for that is because every 21 days, your dog's skin goes through its full cycle. So it's developing new oils, new skin cells, it's exfoliating, it's shedding out old skin cells every 21 days. So what does a bath and a good condition do? It rejuvenates. It's like cleaning an oil filter in a car or a pool filter in your pool. I love my pool. I want to be in it all the time. So let's talk about common mistakes and how to avoid them. Common mistakes with blades or guard combs. Common mistakes are not cleaning them properly and before and after every trim. So every time I groom a dog, when I'm done, I will clean the guard comb, brush all the clippings out, spray it with a little cool care, set it down, let it go, it's fine. Same thing with the blade, brush out. There's a video linked in the description below about how to clean your blades if you're not sure, if this isn't clicking. I also have some YouTube shorts, I think, about cleaning your blades. Anyway, depacking the hair out of your blades, very important. So after every dog's haircut, so if I use this 10 blade on the dog, and I did all the 10 blade work, and now I'm going to go to a 7 blade, you know, to set the pattern on the back or something. When I'm done with this 10 blade, I'm going to brush all the hair packings out. I'm going to release the blade from the clipper. I'm going to blow it out with my HV dryer because hair will get stuck in all. Look at all these nooks and crannies. In fact, you can see little hair stuck here and there on my blade because it is a blade and it is a dog grooming salon, but it's been cleaned. After I blow it out with my high velocity dryer, which really blows all that stuff out of all here, then I'll put it back on the clipper, turn it on, seat it on there, and I'll put a little bead of oil on the clipping edge of the blade right here. Just a little, and it's in that video I have linked for you. And I'll let it run a second. This is after every dog. Okay, and then I'll pop it off. I take my microfiber rag, wipe it all down. Blade oil and Andis Cool Care will dissipate. It will evaporate. But I wipe it off, set it down. It's ready for the next use for the next dog. It's ready. So I've cleaned and oiled it, and then there it sits. It's ready to go. Same with my guard combs. I just brush them off. I'll spray them with Cool Care because it is a disinfectant. And I'll wipe it down, and it's ready for the next dog. And then say I use a 7 blade next. I use the 7 blade. I do my clipper work, and then I do what? I do what? I clean it. I clean it, and then set it down. It's ready for next use. Next dog, 2 dogs from now, 3 dogs from now. I don't know when I'm going to use that 7 blade again. As a professional, I'm using my blades pretty much every day, the different ones. But if it's a blade I don't use very often, and I know I cleaned it the last time, but maybe that was 3 weeks ago that I used that 30 blade, you know, for the paw pads. After that long, I'm going to oil it before I use it. Then I'm going to use it. Then I'm going to clean and oil it and put it down for the next use. So if you are only using your blades, your clipper blades, you're only using these clipper blades, whether with guard combs or not, once every 6 weeks because you're grooming your own dog, then oil it again before you start using it, which is by putting a bead of oil right along the cutting edge. Just a little, no, don't over oil it. Just a little bit and let it run and wipe it off. Don't hold it up like this and let all that oil run down into your clipper. It can cause problems. When you oil your blade, you oil it like this and you tip it that way and let it run. It's running that way. And then you wipe it off. So if you're not grooming your dog, but once every 6 weeks or something, you're going to want to oil that again before you use it. This is how you extend the life of your blades, definitely. So that's probably the biggest common mistakes that people do with blades or guard combs is not taking care of them properly and not using them right, not cleaning them right. So that would be one of the biggest mistakes. Other than that, you know, unless you're using too short of a blade, you really can't make a mistake. Unless you're using a 10 blade, this is a 10 blade, to trim a dog, that's a mistake. You're asking for skin problems and you're leaving no length of coat on the dog. It's just not a good idea. For a dog that is outdoors and living life, it's not that good of a good idea because they're exposed to so much outside because they're out, they live their lives. You know, they're not a show dog. They're not kept in a clean environment, you know. Show dogs are kept so, you know, away from a lot of the things that we do with a lot of our pet dogs so that they don't get dirty and they don't get, because poodles are shaved with a 40 blade. Don't ever do that at home. But yeah, so that's just the way it is. But there really aren't a lot of mistakes. One of my rule of thumbs, a lot of people ask, okay, how do I know what guard comb to use on the head? Because I like the 3/8 on the body and the legs. I love that. But how do I know what to use on the head? If you've been following me for a while, you probably can already say the answer to this question because you've heard me say it so many times. How I choose the length to set the top of the head, under the chin, and the cheeks is 2 guard comb sizes up higher than the body trim. So if I used a 3/8 to set the body and the legs, I'm going to go with a 5/8, which is the yellow one. Where is he? Just saw him. Oh, here he's on the clipper. That's longer. See, that's going to leave just the right difference between that length on the body and the head and keep the dog in proportion, looking like he's still in proportion. If we leave the head too full, but we went pretty short on the body, it's not going to have a balanced look. It's going to look like, you know, an amateur gave him a groom. And if you're grooming your dog at home, you can give him a professional looking haircut if you follow my advice. That's what we do here. So my rule of thumb is at least 2 guard combs higher on the head, under the chin, and the cheeks to set that coat length than I used on the body. So I did a whole live stream about that, I think. We have pretty much a live stream for everything, guys. You know that. You know, I don't keep you guessing. If you're not sure, you go back and look. There was a live stream. We've been doing this now for about 7 years, I think. There's a lot of live streams that go in detail and just talking about things. Plus, you know, I have a lot of videos that show you how to do things. So common mistakes, there really aren't. The biggest common mistake is people not taking care of their blades properly, or probably trying to use a 7 blade under a guard comb. You can't. A 7 blade is too long. It won't fit. And then you'll try to make it fit, and you're going to break your guard comb, or you're going to bend it, and it's not going to work right. Only use guard combs over a 10 blade, a 15 blade, or a 30 blade. That's it. That's all they will work with. That's it. So when I was explaining, okay, so what are some typical blade or guard comb choices for the average pet trim and coat types? This is something that I was anxious to talk to you guys about because this is a question I get asked in 100 different ways. What guard combs do I use for a Maltese? What guard combs do I use for a Shih Tzu? What guard combs do I use for a Schnauzer? Okay, so how I determine a common pet trim for me is about a 3/8 inch guard comb, which is our blue guy. No, that's a 1/2 inch. Yeah, yes. 3/8 inch. The 3/8, 1/2 inch, and 5/8 are my most common body and leg trim length. Doodles, anything that gets all from the neck and the body. The head I always do round and fluffy. Anything that gets a full trim. Like, we're not talking Schnauzer pattern set. We're talking a full body, full trim, body and legs. I will either choose the 3/8, the 1/2 inch, or the 5/8. These are my go-to sizes for the body and the legs for the majority of pet trims. What do I prefer? Usually it's the 3/8. Why? Because this is the one that usually keeps them from coming back matted. If I leave 5/8 in 6 weeks, I'm going to have to be working through some mats. And if people are not able to learn how to brush their dogs properly at home by watching all my free videos, then I think they're just going to have to, you know, adjust to a shorter haircut, because if you can't brush them, you can't have it. You know, if you're going to have mats, you're not going to let your kids walk around with matted hair, are you? Can you imagine letting your kids go to school with matted hair? Well, he doesn't like it when I brush him. Okay, so you just don't brush it. That's smart. No, it's not. You wouldn't do that for your kids. You know, let them walk around with matted hair. It's the same with our dogs. If we can't brush it, if we can't keep up with it, then we go with a shorter haircut. And one of the most common ones is this 3/8. Now, what about pattern sets? We're talking about blades. Pattern sets, my number 7 is the most common used blade for me to set a pattern on a Schnauzer, Poodles, on Cocker Spaniels, Westies. I do like to use the 1/4-inch guard comb to set it on Westies because they do have such a harsh coat and it just seems to blend nicely. But 7 5 blades, yes, 5 blade or a 7 blade on a Westie for a pattern set. So those are my most common blades, and when I would use them is for a pattern set. Also, we talked about it earlier, a summer clip down. So if my client has a Shih Tzu and they say we'd like her trimmed up shorter in the summer, where I'm going to start with a 5 first and see how that works. A 5 is pretty short. It's only just a little bit longer than a 7 blade. Remember, the higher the number, the shorter the clip. I know it's confusing, so guess what? I linked a video down there for you. It explains clipper blades. You'll never forget again. The higher the number, 10, the shorter the clip. Is a 10 blade going to leave the hair shorter than a 7? Yeah. Why? Because it's a bigger number than 7, right? 7, 8, 9, 10. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Ryder, you know this one. Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. I'll never forget when my son was in like 2nd grade and came home and told me that. He's 28 years old now, almost 29. So anyway, the higher the number, the shorter the hair will be. So just remember it that way. So a 7 and a 5 blade are pretty much the most common blades that I will use for summer trims as well as setting patterns. Aside from that, I like rarely ever use this 3 or the 4. If that's the case, I prefer to use a guard comb. I prefer the way the guard comb looks typically. And on drop coated, silky coated dogs, it's always going to be guard combs, guys, unless they're matted. Unfortunately, then we got to try a 5 or a 7. That's all that's going to go through a matted coat. A number 3 blade will never go through a matted coat. I know it gets confusing. So that video that I linked there for you guys, if you really are confused about blades and guard combs and sizes, when to use them, just what's the difference? Why would you use this instead of a blade? Then watch that video when you have time, because it really does help you understand. So that should sum everything up pretty decently for you guys. Of course, I'm more than happy to take your questions, which we're getting ready to. I have a couple things I wanted to tell you. I was reminded right before I started this live stream, I got an email from one of you, one of my special people, that said, hey, I'm so excited. I ordered the Petals and Tails shampoo and conditioner like you recommended in your bathing video, and I really love the bathing video and I can't wait to bathe my rescue dog. However, when I got the Petals and Tails, it looked different. And I was like, she says, I didn't know if I had the right product. I didn't know if I was supposed to dilute it the same. I didn't know what the difference was. Well, it reminded me that I never told you guys that Petals and Tails rebranded their labels. That's it. But there's something else that's in it for you. I was like, whoa. So they have a new bottle, a new label, and they also offer a pump here with, instead of this little, this was the flip top before. This is the old model. This is the new model. But they also give us, this has let's see, that's 8 ounces. This is 8 ounces, isn't it? Yeah, I thought they gave you more. No, that's not right. Wait a minute. I think it's 12 ounces. No, that says 8. I swear to God, it's got more in it. I thought when she emailed, she said that there's more, and there has to be more in this. I don't know. Anyway, it is the same product. They just have new labels. So no worries. All the CBD oils, all the balms, all the misting sprays, the hydrating sprays, they are all the same products inside as they used to be. They just came up with new labels. They thought it was fun. I didn't know that they needed to. I kind of really liked the earthy, kind of minimalist. Look, but I'm old, so of course I like that kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe younger people like this vibe, but same great product, just new relabeled. New label, new bottle, new label. So I wanted to clarify that is for all the Petals and Tails products. So if you order any shampoos, if you've ordered them in the past and you're like, oh, I just love them, and you order more and they come and they look completely different, just know that it's a new label. As long as it's the same scent that you wanted, you know, and all of them are so good, you can't go wrong with them. So I wanted to let everybody know about that it reminded me to tell you guys about the Petals and Tails, because I don't want you getting scared and thinking, oh my gosh, this isn't the right product. What is this? I ordered it before. It didn't look like that. So now you know. And you know why you know? Because you're in the know. Because you're my Go Groomer people. And you're always going to know everything as soon as I know it. So now you know. You're in the know. You're in the know. So I think it's time for questions. Hopefully I didn't totally confuse you guys, and I helped you out with the when to use guard combs, when to use blades. If it is something that really gets you confused, I think after this is live, it will be up on the replay. You can watch it anytime on YouTube under the live tab. You have to go to my live tab and look at all my live streams. Go watch it again and listen to what I'm saying. Eventually it's going to click. It's like anything that you're learning for the first time. Sometimes you have to hear it several times till I get, oh gosh, now I get it, right? That's me. Absolutely. I learn better from doing something, and once I see how it's done, then I kind of learn it. And we all learn differently. Some people like to read to learn, and you know, so you may need to go back and watch the video if you're so confused, because I'm pretty sure I laid it out there for you guys to help you understand, and I hope I did. So let me just see if there's any questions. If not, we're going to be out of here sooner. Be sure to add a line in front. Thank you, Ramblin' Court Jester. I appreciate you guys, and Janelle is always helping people, reminding people to put the line in front of their questions so Amy can see it. Miss Hammy loves K-pop. How you doing? Haven't seen you in a while, Miss Hammy. It's nice to have you here. With long hairs, you won't see a mat that's closer to the skin. You might miss a tangle when you brush them out. Absolutely. The longer the hair is, it's more, things hide in that coat. You're absolutely right. So that's why we do line brushing, where we hold the hair back against the skin and pull it out with the brush from the skin out. Then we can see, and then we keep moving it. Called line brushing, so we can see those little tangles that are hiding in there. But some of them they do like to hide pretty well. Shannon says, I have a very thick double-coated American Cocker Spaniel. Okay. Is a 7-blade too short for the body during the summer, or should I not go shorter than a 5-blade? Oh, Shannon, yes. A 7-blade is fine. In fact, most of the Cocker Spaniels in the summertime that I trim, we do a 7 short trim. That's what we do with the lay of the coat, not against the lay, because then you're actually taking it to like a 10-blade if you go in the opposite direction of the way the hair lays on the dog naturally. So in the lay of the coat, if you're not sure, I have a Cocker Spaniel video that'll show you what the lay of the coat means. Nope, Shannon, you're good. You're good to go. A 7-blade is probably most comfortable for a Cocker Spaniel in the summer. The only time I would tell you to not use a 7 on a Cocker Spaniel is if you are noticing some skin irritation. Cocker Spaniels tend to be prone to skin irritation and they get problems with their skin. They are an oily breed. So what happens is if we go to a 5 blade at that point, maybe leave just a little bit longer coat, it may tend to protect the skin a little better and balance things out. So if the skin's looking happy and healthy, a 7 is fine for a Cocker Spaniel in the summer, absolutely. Kathy Mountjoy says, you said not to use a 10 blade on the body. Just want to make sure that for my miniature schnauzer, there is an exception for the top of the head and the ears. Yes, the head is not the body, is it? No, it's not. Yes, of course, we use a 10 blade on the face when we're setting the schnauzer eyebrows, the cheeks, under the throat, because there's a lot of loose skin on a dog's face and head, connective tissue where the ears are. A 7 blade has pretty good spacing between the teeth, and we could catch skin in a 7 blade on the head there where the ears connect to the head. This area here is loose skin on all dogs, including your cockers. Stretch the skin when you're clipping cockers. They tend to have very loose, saggy skin. You could cut a dog with a clipper blade. I almost didn't even say that right. So yes, a 7 on the body is as short as I would go, Kathy. But on the head, of course, for a schnauzer, we're going to use a 10 blade. Definitely. So that was accurate. But when I say a 7 blade for the body, I'm talking about the hair that's going to be left on the majority of the dog protecting the skin. And the body is thicker skin than the face and the sanitary areas. It's a different skin. So that's a 7 is fine. And it is pretty short, but it's not terrible like a 10 or 15. I've seen some groomers use 10 and 15s and they're totally fine with it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't understand. So yes, we're good to go with a 7 on the body of a schnauzer and a 10 on the head. Absolutely. And 10 and always a 10 in sanitary areas, guys. That's when you're always using a 10 blade, whether it's on your adjustable blade clipper, set it to a 10, or if it's on a detachable blade clipper. 10 blade for sanitary around the private areas, any of those sensitive areas, always a 10 blade. Ro Perez says, hi Amy, been watching you for a long time. New Golden Doodle puppy, congratulations, will be here on Sunday. Well, that's very exciting. I happen to love Golden Doodles myself. Love the idea of Petals and Tails shampoo and conditioner. Do you recommend any other shampoo and conditioner combinations for puppies? Sure, there's so many. Most of my videos, you'll find products linked. I tell you, you can never go wrong with some of my favorite hypo shampoos. One of my favorite hypoallergenic shampoos to use on puppies or any dog is the Tropiclean puppy shampoo. It is a hypo. It's not just for puppies. That's what people get confused. But it's puppy shampoo. So, no, it's just gentle enough for puppies. That's why they call it puppy shampoo. And also, Groomer's Choice, they have a Bark to Basic line, and they have a crystal clear. And I really like that one too. It cleans well, but it's not harsh. And it cleans well. It's very important. And it's safe to use a hypoallergenic shampoo across the board, guys, all the time. Say, I'm always going to use a hypoallergenic shampoo. It's okay. They clean well. If you get a good brand. Those two are my favorite, the Tropiclean Hypo and the Crystal Clear by Bark to Basics. Those are great hypoallergenic shampoos and very affordable. Petals and Tails, you can't beat that. So if it's just your own dog and you really want to go and say, I'm doing the best I can, that would be it. The Petals and Tails is wonderful. Always conditioned too, guys. And as far as conditioners go, something other than Petals and Tails, there's many that I like. Sometimes as a universal, I use the undercoat control by Coat Handler. It's not a de-shedding dog, but it's a beautifully well hydrating and rinses easy. It's beautiful conditioner choice. So there's that one. The Best Shot Ultra Max is a great choice. Rinses well from the coat too. They have to rinse well for me to really love them. But you'll see in many of my videos, I have links to a lot of hypo products that I recommend that are very affordable. So congratulations again, Ro, on your puppy coming. That's exciting. Oh, wow. Golden Doodles are the best. Kathy says, my breeder suggests 8.5 on the body, but I think it's too short. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, I think Schnauzer, Kathy, I think it's a Schnauzer. You could. I mean, that's close to a 9 blade. It's darn close to a 10 blade. I really wouldn't. I mean, Schnauzers develop what's called Schnauzer bumps, but they're really clogged hair follicles, and they're clogged because people forever and ever and ever, and I was taught to, when I took my grooming course, use a 10 blade on a Schnauzer to set the pattern. Schnauzer bumps were always there because we were taking it too short, and then by the time the hair starts to grow, the skin already grew over it. That is just how it happens. All you groomers know exactly what I'm talking about. So we don't do it anymore. We use 7 blades just to be safe. And Rose says, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have options, but I will probably do petals and tails. Oh, you won't be disappointed. You definitely won't be. And be sure to use my code so you can save 15%, Ro, because they are a little pricey. They're pricey because there's CBD oil in here. So people think that, well, my dog doesn't really have a skin problem. Do I need to use petals and tails that has CBD oil in it? It's just a wonderful preventative to keep everything in check, you know, to use this really good shampoo and conditioner. The CBD oil is just going to be helpful in stimulating blood flow and keeping skin on the right track, you know. So it's not really about dogs that having skin problems. It's a good choice if they are, but it's really just to give the dog the best experience, you know, that the most healing, blood flow, all the things. So thank you all for coming in here and hanging out with me. I'm so happy to see you. I love you. Look at you. There, I'm looking up and seeing who else here. Okay, stop looking. All right, let's just go over a couple quick little announcements because I'm about ready to say my goodbyes and you might know what's coming up next. Our next live stream is in 2 weeks. It's going to be, we'll be right back here. You're going to be sitting right down on my grooming table again, just like you are right now. And I'll give you a haircut. So I'll see you in 2 weeks, right back here, which is August 4th at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. I'll see you back here with some more good stuff to talk about. Also want to let people know that if you didn't already sign up for my weekly dog grooming newsletter, that is free. I write it. It's just tips and tricks of dog grooming, different topic, kind of like this, different topic every week. Sign up for that for free. It's in the description below. And also my channel members, and I see so many of you in the chat. Look at you. I cannot wait till our next session. Our next session is going to be a little different. Usually we do Zoom and I record it and then upload it to YouTube after it's live. The next session is going to be August 17th, which is a Sunday at 12 o'clock. This is for my hounds, my channel members, the ones who hit the join button. This one's going to be live on YouTube just for channel members only. The topic is the Groomer's Toolkit, Extend the Life of Your Grooming Tools. We are going to go over grooming tools, cleaning, sanitizing, degreasing, cleaning, and maintenance of tools and equipment. It's something you all ask me about all the time, and it seems to be there's a lot of questions surrounding cleaning your brushes, cleaning your blades, maintaining your dryers, maintaining anything that needs maintenance and cleaning. So we're going to hit that one. We're going to hit that for the channel members. If you're not a channel member, you can become a channel member, also known as a hound. All you got to do is click that join button right there. It's $4.99. Channel members they're loving it. They're taking their grooming to a whole different level. The grooming knowledge that they have, definitely elevating their knowledge. There's a link in the description below for you guys too, if you want to click on that. Go Groomer channel members also enjoy monthly live learning sessions to receive exclusive content and free downloads with every session. So they get a PDF guide. They're building a Go Groomer notebook with every lesson. Just the PDF alone is worth more than $4.99 a month. So then you get a whole list. We're on lesson number 36 next time, guys. I think it's 36. So there's a list of 36 lessons only for channel members. And often they're lessons that you revisit because it's like, you know, trimming feet or dog anatomy. Where's the bone structure? How to follow the bone structure. Brushes, how to hold your tools. All those things. We have a lesson for everything. So you can always rewatch it anytime, any of the learning sessions, if you're a hound, if you're a channel member, because it will always be back up on YouTube and only channel members can watch it. So I cannot wait to see you guys for the next Zoom session. It's not Zoom, it's YouTube, and it will be live though. That's for my channel members. That one was what, August 17th. But our next live from the grooming table for everybody is going to be in 2 weeks, which is August 4th. So I can't wait to see you guys too, as usual. Now, to end our little live stream here, in the closing of this live stream, I'm going to play a wonderful little video for you. It is the Farmer's Dog Super Bowl commercial that warmed the hearts of dog lovers all over the world that day, that long, cold, February dark day. And if you are interested in food for your dog that is species appropriate, tailored to a dog's specific nutrition needs, FDA approved, that's a big one, human grade quality ingredients, I feed my dogs, Cash, Gus, Ellie, and Grace, the Farmer's Dog, because it's so good for them. And we see the results. I would love to save you 80% off of your first box of the Farmer's Fresh Food to try if you'd like to for your dog or dogs. You can get a free box for 2 dogs as well. Delivered to your door. Just clink and click the link in the description below just to see all the benefits that fresh food has to offer you and your pets firsthand. Your beloved pets. Now there's only one more thing left to say. Other than, I love you guys, and I really thank you for joining me here Monday, live from the grooming table. It's always been good to hang out with you guys. You're a big part of my life, and I hope I am for you too. So here we are together. We're better together. But there's one more thing that we could probably say together. You know what I'm going to say? And I love if we say it. Just put your hand on your dogs. Give them a salute. We're going to say, long live dogs.
I'll always take